Education doesn't need to be reformed. It needs to be transformed. The key is not to standardize education, but to personalize it to build achievement on discovering the individual talents of each child, to put students in an environment where they want to learn and where they can naturally discover their true passion. It's the words of Ken Robinson. Good day to all from different time zones across the world. Today, we reach the third day of International Webinar Series. I am Ms. Cecil Sebastian, first year MSc Nursing student, Pushpagiri College of Nursing. I would like to extend a very warm welcome to Father Ebi Vadakamtala, Director Institutions, Pushpagiri Medical Society, our Honorable Principal, the backbone of Pushpagiri College of Nursing, Professor Sister Therese SIC, Vice Principal, Mrs. Renchini Devi, HOD and faculties of various departments of Pushpagiri College of Nursing, teachers, students, and all well-wishers to this webinar. A humble heart combined with prayer and worship always equals strength to keep going. Now, I request everyone to invoke the Almighty. I call upon Sister Anu for Bible reading.
A reading from the Book of Wisdom, chapter 9, verses 10 to 12. Send her from the holy heavens, dispatch her from your holy throne, to help me and to work beside me, that I may know what is pleasing to you. For she knows and understands everything. She will direct my actions with prudence and protect me with her power. Then my deeds will please you, and I shall judge your people in justice, and be worthy to the throne of my Father. This is the word of Lord.
Today, our speaker will be talking on competency-based, outcome-based, and mainly on team-based learning. The section will be presented by a delighted person, Dr. Jayashree R., a senior tutor in Oman College of Health Sciences at Dohar branch. She has completed her PhD in nursing at Indira Gandhi National University, New Delhi, and MPhil in Manipal College of Nursing. Moreover, she has 27 years of experience in the field of nursing. She is highly interested in education, clinical researches, and has many scientific publications in peer-reviewed national and international journals. Now, I would like to welcome the most reputed person, Dr. Jayashree R., to present today's section. Just a little housekeeping before we get started. Please note that to put audio in mute status. If you have any questions during the presentation, please type into chat box. We will have time for discussions of those questions at the end of the webinar. Now, without further ado, we will turn the time over to Dr. Jayashree R.
Can you make me the host? Good evening, everyone. I would like to thank the management of Pushpagiri College of Nursing for inviting me. And especially, I'm really thankful to Dr. Sister Therese. She is my friend, and we used to work together. And when she told me that I have to have a presentation with the MSc students, I was so delighted, because it is always my pleasure to work with the students, and anything with Pushpagiri College of Nursing, I am really willing to do that. And afterwards, Mrs. Soni also like continuously, she was in touch with me, and that was really encouraging too, because it really motivated my enthusiasm further. So in today's session, I have been participating in this series of webinar. Uh, like even yesterday, I was there, and we were talking about various innovations which we can do it. And yesterday, also, Dr. Lata was giving us something which can be implemented, and so which has taken us away from the classrooms. And today I'm going to bring you back to the classrooms. Uh, Before I continue, can I ask you, can you all hear me? Is it everything okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. So let me share my slide first. Is it okay now?
Yes, ma'am. Okay, is it okay now?
Okay. So when Sister Teres asked me, when she gave me the topic, that is outcome based and competency based education or learning, I thought I should go to the base and select something which can be implemented by the teacher and the students. Of course, we can implement it. So I have selected a very basic aspect of this continuous, competency-based education. So when we think about the current situation, there is an urgency exists among nurse educators. As teachers, we have to determine the best possible teaching strategies so that we create a rich, engaging learning environment for our students. So this sense of urgency actually is calling for transformation, innovation, and excellence in nursing education. It is not only in the nursing education, in fact, uh, irrespective of the discipline, it is actually essential. This transformation is essential, innovation is essential, and excellence, so that the product, the outcome of the learner will be excellent. So why do we need all these newer models or innovation in our profession? Especially I'll be talking about nursing profession. I know most of us are from the nursing field, and I have learned that there are other participants from other disciplines also. Uh, I hope you can, understand what, you can actually absorb what I am talking. So in our field, in the nursing field or in the healthcare field, we know that the knowledge and the complexity increases within no time. Okay, so thereby we have to have a need. So there is a need for newer models and strategies. I'm talking, okay, the traditional lecture method is not sufficient to keep up with the knowledge and the complexity, that the teacher is standing there and talking and the learner is just passively absorbing things. No, we have to move out of that sphere and go to newer models and strategies of teaching. And when we think about innovation in education, so innovation in education is very important that it reflects in the content. That is where competency based and outcome based education comes in place, in the content. So it is helping us to modify our goal or the competencies the students or the learners are going to achieve. It should reflect on that. And not only in the content, the innovation should be reflecting in the integral relationship between the faculty and the student. That is very important. Okay, so it is not that the teacher talk and then go. No, the relationship between the faculty and the student is very important. So that is why, to keep up with the improvement or innovation in the content, the relationship between the faculty and the student also have to be improved. So any innovation, it should reflect in this major aspect. That's a very important aspect of learning. And so when we think about competency based Excuse me, anything? Competency-based education or the learning, we are thinking it is convergent, it is more focused. Competency-based education is more focused, and it is mainly depending or it is focusing on the skill, what the learner has to perform, or which competency the learner has to perform. Okay, and skills and information assessment is mainly done in competency-based education, and the teacher is mainly controlling. Okay, and it is more content-centered. But I can tell you, it is self-paced and it is more flexible, and mainly we are not focused on the time. Okay, competency-based. Whereas in outcome-based education, it is more divergent. Okay, there is a program outcome, like in our curriculum. Actually, our curriculum is outcome-based nowadays. Okay, and it is more divergent. It is authentic in the real world assessment. And the learner is controlling, and it is more learning. So when I think about Bloom's taxonomy in respective of competency-based and outcome-based, see, the competency-based education is mainly in the lower part of the taxonomy pyramid, and whereas the outcome-based, it is moving up towards the higher levels. But in the current situation, I think it is ideal to have a mix of both. Okay, in outcome-based, we have to merge outcome-based education or learning and competency-based learning. That is very important. So this is a picture of a birdhouse. Actually, this example, I got it from one of the conferences which I have attended. So when we think about competency-based learning, okay, so the task here is to make a birdhouse. So that is a competency they have to do. So maybe they are using their creativity into that, and they will make beautiful birdhouses. Okay, that is in the competency-based education. Whereas in the outcome-based learning, what the learner does is he is going to observe the nearby birds, their typology, their characteristics, what type of nest they prefer, the size, everything, and they make a nest. See, that is outcome based. So which is suitable for the birds in the locality. Okay, so competency is good, but outcome is also. So that is why I'm telling we have to merge competency based and outcome based learning together. And both of these are little higher levels. Maybe it is done in the instructional level or in the institutional or the curriculum level. And what can be done in the classroom, we need to think about it to achieve this outcome-based or competency-based learning. Okay, so that is why I thought of selecting the theme-based learning. That is one of the strategies where we can achieve the outcome. Okay, so our aim should be merging competency-based education into outcome-based education. Why do we think like that? So learning is not the product of teaching. Earlier, we used to think that, yeah, the teacher is the major part of the learning system. Teachers are hard, but learners are the important. So that is why we tell learning is the product of the activities of the learners. Okay, it is teacher can teach, just talk and go, but whatever the activities the students are doing, that is learning, that is helping them, that will be with them lifelong. Okay, and the question as teachers we have to ask, it is not, we are not supposed to ask, how do I teach this? Before we used to think, how can I teach this subject? It is very complex. We are thinking in terms of the teachers only. Okay, so but currently the question we have to ask, how can they learn it? We have to think in terms of the students or the learners. How can my learners learn it? And how can it be applied in their lives, in their professional lives or personal lives also? And another thing, by learning, you will teach, and by teaching, you will learn. So when I was reading and attending the conferences, and when we practice this team-based learning, this point struck me very intently. So in team-based learning, the students are learning and they are teaching each other. Okay, and that's a very good strategy. So I hope this team's learning strategy is going to be useful in our situations, any situations. Okay, and it doesn't require any special facilities or any technology. I'm actually not very good with technology also, so that's why I am really fascinated with this team-based learning. So, team-based learning offers a structured, student-centered learning strategy that focuses on active learning strategies. So it is student-centered and the students are very active in the classrooms. Okay, so that is why it can be used in any situations, anywhere. Okay, and this particular strategy, even though we call this webinar as an innovation in teaching strategy, but this was developed by Dr. Larry Michelson in the late 1970s. And he is a teacher or professor in business courses. And when we had a very large groups, okay, in the 70s, 120 is a very large group. So he thought of a novel idea of having the participants very active in the class. Even then, he can manage the class by himself. He doesn't need more teachers. That is how team-based learning has evolved or developed. Okay, and after that, further in every other disciplines, almost all the disciplines, this team-based learning is utilized. Even the the professional settings also, in the hospital settings also, this team-based learning can be utilized. And it is an instructional strategy that is designed to support the development of high performance learning teams. So there is a team, and we have to support, or we have to develop that team to perform at a high level. How we are going to make it? To provide opportunities for these teams to engage in significant learning tasks. So we are giving them learning tasks, and the team is going to fully engaged in these activities, and it is given in the same educational circumstances. Not that, see, in the same classroom of Pushpagiri College of Nursing, I'm really familiar with that environment, but now I think it has changed. So in the same classroom itself, we can give these activities, or we can do these teamworks, and through that, the students are learning. The learning is enhanced. Okay. So the major focus, when we think about the main focus of this team-based learning, the major concept in this team-based learning is learner engagement. So learner engagement happens through individual engagement with a course, also member engagement within the team. So the learner is engaged with the concept multiple times. Okay, so the other factors, there are various factors that is affecting the learner engagement, like teacher and learner attitudes, learner traits, or like the course itself. No two students like or perform the same way in the same course, because some of us have preferences that will affect the learner engagement. Then the physical setup of the class, or the institutional or the organizational setup itself, whether if there is a support for the learner, or whether we are focusing only on the output. Okay, and the other factors that is affecting the team involvement is the team characteristics, like team traits, learner attitudes, how that is their interpersonal relationship between them. So when a teacher think about this learner engagement, how can we enhance the learner engagement is the teacher has to take certain decisions. Okay, there are certain key elements in the team-based learning the teacher has to focus. Okay, I'll be talking about in the end of it after finishing the process. I think that will be a good idea. That's what I thought. Maybe you can put it in the comment. Okay, so through this learner engagement, what are we going to achieve? That is the learning outcomes like in-depth knowledge we can achieve, then problem solving skills. That is very important in the current situation. And when they're going for the professional, their work, it is very important. Then communication skills. Nowadays, I think all of us are at a social distance. Like, even before Corona, there is another Corona, that is the social media. And we are very comfortable with, being socialized on the social media than in the physical proximity. Okay, so it is helping to improve the communication skills among the team members or within the class, plus the leadership skills. So each student is able to improve their leadership skills. So in team-based learning, the learner engagement it is more focused on the students than the teacher. Now coming to the phases of this team-based learning, actually it is in 3 phases. In the first phase, what happens is there is advanced preparation. So here, actually we have to really prepare the students for this phase. What I have experienced in my current situation is students are not really interested. They want the teacher to give everything. Okay, but here in team-based learning, what we have to do is we have to prepare the students. So it is before the class, before they come to the class, they have to prepare their lessons. Okay, so the teacher is giving items or the textbook part or the videos or whatever it is they are giving. So we are exposing the students to the concepts which the teacher wants them to deal with in that particular unit. Then after the phase 1, we are going to the phase 2, that is readiness assurance. How much ready each student we have to know. So that is mainly there are tests, okay, readiness assurance tests. So first one is the individual. Excuse me, can you just mute your mic? Okay. So phase 2, readiness assurance, that is individual readiness assurance. Then after that, we have team readiness assurance. Okay, so by these 2 assurance tests, we know how much the students are prepared. Okay, and afterwards, the teacher is giving feedbacks and teacher is clarifying the concepts. Okay, not like the usual lecture, the teacher is not going to take the total lecture at all. Okay, and after the phase 2, after completing the phase 2, the class is moving into the phase 3, where the teacher has prepared some application activities. So they will be having the application activities. First, they will discuss it in their own team. And then after finding out the answers, they are going to have between the team, inter-team discussions, they are going to have it. And at the end, the teacher is summarizing the whole class, the learning outcomes, and she is wrapping up. So this is the phases of
Excuse me, ma'am.
learning.
Ma'am, excuse me, ma'am.
Yes.
Ma'am, someone is unmute, ma'am. Sister Reena, please mute your mic.
That's what I was talking in between. Yeah.
Okay, ma'am, you can continue.
Okay, thanks. So from the phrases, actually, we could see that Team-based learning uses repeating cycles of learning to move students from exposing the concept to acquiring concept, and finally they applying the concept, course concept. So there are individual works, there are small group discussions, and there are whole class discussion. And what is the outcome? That is impact. It is affecting the learning. Enhanced learning is going to happen. So when we think about competence-based education or outcome-based education, these things, these strategies should be there in any of these learning. Okay, individual work, there should be small group discussion, there should be large team discussion should be there, self-pacing, self-learning, all these things should be there. Now let's move on to each phases in detail. So phase one, I told you, it is advanced preparation or pre-class preparation. So before this phase one, the teacher has a major responsibility to find out what are the objectives she wanted from the units. What are the learning outcomes? Okay, she wanted, and she has to put it in, just like in our normal lecture. Okay, so we are going to put it like that. And based on the learning outcome she wants, she is going to prepare the reading assignments, and she has to form the groups. That is these are the two tasks the teacher has to do in the phase one. And the learner has to go through these reading assignments, prepare themselves, maybe 1 hour, 2 hours, depending on their time limits. They can this is their homework, okay? They're going to do it at home. So the reading assignments need to reflect what the teacher want to achieve from that unit, or what this, what the student, the learner has to achieve from that unit. Okay, it should reflect the unit topic. And the teacher can include text readings and other assignments, other relevant assignments she can include, maybe some YouTube videos or maybe PowerPoints or previous recorded class, she can send it, no problem. Okay, then after completing the readings, the only thing mandatory is after completing the readings, students should have a thorough understanding of the concepts prior to coming to the class. That is very important for the success of team-based learning. So next one is group formation. That is in the beginning of the semester, okay, or the year, the teacher can form the group. Okay, so pre-assign groups in order to ensure that an approximate mix of skills and academic ability in each group in order to promote the development of students. So it is not that if we give freedom to the students, what happens is their friends are there and they will be selecting, choosing between them, and some of the students will be left out. Okay, so, and we cannot tell that each group is equal. There may not be mix of talents or academic ability or other skills. It may not be there. That's why it is a good idea for the teacher to select. So what I do is when I group the students, because I don't know about the students when they come to my level. I'm in the third year teaching the research currently. So what we do is I have a discussion with their previous teachers to group them. Okay, and with the help of the previous teachers, I am mixing the students so that there are good, see, all students are good. Some students are excellent in particular subject. Okay, so like that. Otherwise, everyone is skillful and able in a different way. We have to think like that, and we have to make sure that they are mixed in each group so that we will have a good group discussion and learning will be enhanced. And make sure that in each the group size should be 5 to 7 students. So if we have more students in the group, you know, the social chatting and social laughing is taking place other than the course discussion. If we have smaller groups, less discussion is not going to be that much fruitful. Okay, so that is very important. So once the students have exposed to the concept, they are coming to the class and ready for the phase 2. So in the phase 2, there is readiness assurance test. So what the faculty member has to do is she has to develop a small one readiness assurance test for each unit of instruction. Okay, suppose if she is doing the first, maybe on heart failure, she wanted to do. So she has to prepare a small test for assessing their readiness. Okay, so it is a multiple choice quiz based on the assigned unit readings. Don't go out of the syllabus. Like, sometimes when we were students, we used to have out of the syllabus questions. So it should not be like that. Based on the reading content, the teacher can prepare a readiness assurance test. And these tests are taken in the class without the textbook or notes. Okay, so it is just like any other quizzes. They have to take it. And the questions on the quiz should test students' knowledge of the primary content, the concept, and make sure that you're including higher levels or several levels of Bloom's taxonomy in the questions. And you can have, depending upon the unit, the teacher can take decision how many questions she should include. Maybe 10 to 25 questions, and depending on the unit allotment of the time also. So, okay, so you can have 10 questions, even less questions are also fine. That depends on the content, the timing, or the duration of the unit. Okay, you have to prepare like that. Now coming to the first one under the phase 2, first one is individual readiness assurance test. So first thing, each individual students in the beginning of the unit of instruction, they will attempt this individual quiz, and this quiz will be graded by the faculty member. Okay, so she will not give any feedback immediately. So first the student is going to take the individual quiz, and because the teacher has to grade these individual tests, so it is feasible. You can have it as an online test. Nowadays, it is very easy because all the students are equipped with technology. So the teacher can use the technology in the class also. Okay, so make the individual readiness assurance test online. So grading is easy. So after the individual readiness assurance test, the teacher has to ask the group, the class to form the groups or the team, the pre-assigned team. And the same question for the individual readiness assurance test, the same questions are given to the team. So team readiness, TRAT is given using the same questions with the answers randomized, scrambled. So here what we can do is we can the teacher can prepare an immediate feedback assessment technique or a scratch card she can prepare with the answers. For the correct answers, I can show you. See, this is an example, the picture of immediate feedback assessment technique. So how many choices are there she can have, and she has to blank it. Just like in our place, we will have, along with the newspaper, we have the scratch cards, whether you're getting anything like the lottery. Okay, so you can have, only thing you should have the correct answer marked as star. So when the team is attempting each question, they have to read and they have to discuss the answer and they have to come to consensus and then start scratching it. So with one first attempt itself, if they are getting the correct answer, they're going to get the full mark. And each attempt they are having, you have to reduce 1 mark. So the team mark is going to be affected. Okay, so their aim should be to get the star column in the first place. Okay, so that is like an incentive for the students. So once the group determine their answer, they scratch off the appropriate box, and even the teacher can see their choices, whether they have got the answer at first attempt or second or third, like that. Okay, and during this, after this team activity, what the teacher has to do is teacher has to give immediate feedback. See, from the scratch card itself, they are getting the correct answer. But sometimes some students are really smart enough and they can find maybe another correct answer. Or maybe they are disagreeing with the teacher's correct answer. Okay, so in that case, the student can appeal for their miss questions because it is great for them. Okay, so, but without a proper rationale, you and the teacher don't have to accept their appeal. And if the rationale provided by the group is sufficient enough, or it is convincing the teacher, or even there is going to be a very good discussion in the class with this appeal. Okay, so if it is sufficient, the faculty member may choose. We can give the grade or credit for the question to the particular team. Okay, and after all, after any appeal is there, what we can do is we can actually the teacher as an instructor, he can reinforce the maybe the content which is confusing to the students. The teacher can give a mini lecture based only on that aspect where the students are having confusion. Okay, so that is what happens in the phase 2. Here the teacher is not going to give the complete lecture, only based on the confusion of the students we are going to clarifying their doubts. That's it. Okay, now coming to the phase 3. So after this, see, phase 1, the individual, like the student is prepared, and in the phase 2, there are individual work test and group test. And now they're moving into applying this knowledge into problem solving. So here the teacher has to be very creative. So she has to develop an activity, group activity, sufficient enough or maybe complex enough to have a thorough group discussion. Okay, so application of concepts. So that is an in-class open book activity. Even during the appeal time, the students can open the book because they have to bring the rationale and they have to defend their choice. So same way in the phase 3, the teacher is giving some activity and the team is going to work on that. So activities designed by the faculty member to enhance student understanding of the course content and increase group cohesion. Okay, in the beginning, I know I'm really, I'm definite that the group cohesion in the beginning may not be that excellent, but they're going to develop it. Okay, and make sure that the activities should engage students in higher levels of thinking. Otherwise, if it is too simple, what happens is the discussion is going to end and they will focus on something else. Their discussion will divert, social laughing will be there. Okay, so that should be avoided. So that is why the activity should not be too simple. And there are certain rules for developing the activity. So that is mainly the 4S. That is one element of this team-based learning. That is 4S. So the problem or the activity which we are focusing, it should be significant to the students. Significant when in respect, in like based on the content which is given. And the group shall work on the same problem. That is the second S, same problem. Why we choose the same problem? So the teamwork will be there. And what happens is each team will have rationale and their choices. The selection of selected choice will be there. And after finalizing the answers, what happens is there is going to be a very good discussion in the class. As a whole class, there is going to be a discussion. And the same concept is viewed from different angles. See, I'm sure the students are capable of bringing their own rationales, which are relevant. Maybe as a teacher, we are focusing from one point, but many students, many teams are working on this. So the learning, the students, each students are getting more ideas, more type of explanation on the same concept. So that is why it is very important. They should work on the same problem. And groups should be asked to make a specific choice. They cannot be they have to come to a specific choice. The answer should be definite. Okay, and sometimes you can give MCQs also in the activities. Okay, that is also possible, no problem, but it should be higher level MCQs. And at the end, after working, what they have to do is they have to report their answer simultaneously. So when everybody, see, teacher can fix the timing, maybe 10 minutes, 15 minutes, depending on the activities, or even more timing can be given, depending on the activity and the unit time. So after finishing the time, design time or the duration, what the teacher can do is she can ask all the team to display their answer. Okay, so simultaneously they are displaying the answer. So they cannot listen to some teams and then change their answers. That is impossible. Okay, so this is an example. See, all of us are familiar with case scenarios in our exams. So case scenario is very suitable, or maybe other forms of MCQs you can use. So whatever activity they give, what they do is, first one is intra-team discussion is happening. After the intra-team discussion, they have to, all the team has to display their answers. Then inter-team discussions are going to happen. Okay, so that is why between the team also discussion. So as a whole class, there is going to be a discussion. In beginning, I'm telling you, from my experience, in the beginning, it is, we feel depressed as teachers, but students are really good debaters, and they are very good in discussion. So this is actually a fun time in the class. Okay, so instead of giving the answers, she's telling, yeah, yes, 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 no. What the instructor has to do is she has to become a facilitator in this time. Okay, so what she is doing, she is posing proactive questions. It is indirectly, she is not going to give any answers. So some example for proactive questions are, what was your answer and why? We want the answer, but why did you select the answer? So it is going to make them think. Okay, then did any other team agree with this answer? Why did you agree? Yes or no? No. Why? You have to answer. Could we hear from another team that may have disagreed? There can be disagreement. I am sure even if they all of them agree, their rationale may be different. Okay, or there can be disagreements with the same problem. Then, is there any other options for a correct answer? They can be correct. Sometimes even the MCQs which we give, there can be two answers. Okay, it happens. So we can ask for any options. Then another one, what might be wrong with the answers you have heard so far? Or based on the discussion, what do you think? So after these proactive questions, the teacher can even give feedbacks, or maybe further clarification can be done. And she has to wrap up the exercise by summarizing the lesson learned. Okay, she has to summarize the lesson, what has happened. So by these phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, the learning is enhanced because the same concept through various mode the student is dealing with, through individual learning, through small groups, and the whole class, plus the teacher is also clarifying and giving further informations. Okay, so definitely there is enhancement of learning. So at the end, suppose if you want to give grade, not only the individual marks or the group marks, we have to include that. This is ideal to include the peer evaluation. So in the peer evaluation, each small team members are going to evaluate one another. Okay, there should be a written feedback and award points based on how well each student helped the team learn. Okay, and the peer evaluation scores should reflect on these 4 points. That is preparation. How well each student or the other peer is prepared for the readiness for the class. Okay, the preparation, or what is their contribution, whether she is passive or whether very active, and what are their contribution, the level of contribution, respect for others' ideas, whether she is accepting or whether she is always dominating the group and not letting anybody, respect for others' ideas. And unless and until they don't have respect for others' ideas, there is no discussion happens. So that is why this point is very important when we use the peer evaluation, and how flexible each member is. Okay, so based on this peer evaluation, so when we think about the group marks, okay, so we are telling all of them can score 10 out of 10. And I'm sure every student is not eligible to get 10 out of 10 when we think about the scores. So you're going to combine this peer evaluation. Suppose the peer evaluation score is 5 out of 10. Okay, and the student has got 10, the group mark is 10 out of 10. So we can have individual student can have 50 out of 100. Okay, 50 out of 100. So thereby each student will get their own, like, the score which is given to the student is, we can actually accept that. Okay, so that way it is very, peer evaluation is also very important. We can include, and these scores can be taken for the internal assessment. So thereby it is encouraging the students for the individual preparation and the group discussion and the teamwork. Our students or the younger generation or even our generation are very competitive. We don't want to be put down because of one person. So they will be encouraging each member to study. Okay, and there is full support and they are more motivated in this team-based learning. Now coming to the key elements. So the first element is the team formation. That is the teacher's responsibility. Okay, so make sure that equal allocation of students, that is the skill and academic ability, should be there in every team. Okay, so that is very critical to the learning process. Otherwise, one group will be very passive or it is not going to enhance learning. Then readiness assurance. So this element actually help each student and the teacher to verify whether everybody is ready for the application of these key concepts. Okay, that is, we are checking whether they have achieved the objectives, learning objectives in terms of the knowledge. Then immediate feedback. So immediate feedback after the group readiness assurance test. It enhances individual learning and team communication. Okay, so the teachers giving the correct answer and the rationale, or they are getting teachers approving the rationale given by the team. So even the student who disagree with or who has some knowledge, they will not go with the wrong idea about the concept. So immediately we are correcting, and with that corrected knowledge on the concept, they are moving into their activity. They are going to apply that. So it is going to be deep rooted in their mind, the immediate feedback. Okay. Then sequencing of in-class problem solving. So there is a sequence. What is the order? First, within the small team, they are discussing, and the same concept between the teams, as that means the whole class is going to discuss. So it is going to deepen their level of thinking. So that way also individually and as a group or as the whole class, it is going to help. Next element is the 4 S's. I have already mentioned that is mainly when we develop the group activities. This 4 S is very significant. That is a significant problem, same problem, specific choice, simultaneous reporting. Why is it important? It fosters motivation and there is a common frame of reference. So everybody is actually curious to know what the other team is giving. Why their answer is right or why their answer is wrong, or a heated up discussion is going to happen. And it is enhancing critical thinking and in-depth learning takes place. Next element is the incentive structure. That incentive structure, incentives means the grading, the marks, individual tests, group tests, and the peer evaluation. So it has a powerful effect on the academic achievement. Okay, so when we give some assignments, the first question our students, or maybe you have experience, the first question they ask, how much mark? That's every day I'm facing that. Okay, and if there is no mark, okay, they may or may not submit it. So this incentive structure is very important and it has an effect on the academic achievement. Then next is peer review. Peer review, actually, I tell you, peer reviews or the feedback from the peers are the strongest feedback compared to feedbacks from the teacher or the teaching other faculties or maybe even parents. Peers have a very strong hold on each other. Okay, that is why peer evaluation and their feedbacks are very important. So it can affect the learners. Now my question is, can TBL be applied in any course or definite course? From my experience, it can be applied in any course, any course. You can apply it in research, which is a dry course. You can apply it in fundamentals. Example, nursing process, you can just give it as team-based learning. So there is maybe 20 hours you are teaching, in our case, 25 hours, we are teaching nursing process. So it can be done. We can split that unit into assessment depending on the steps. Or anatomy, physiology, it can be done. Adult health, medical, surgical nursing, of course, we are using case scenarios, you can use it. Okay, research, you can use it. Maybe you can, especially the literature review, APA style, when you are teaching, you can use it. Okay, you just have to give different types of referencing, text method sections, and they have to identify which is APA. Why it is not, other sections are not APA, why it is APA, you can just give it. They have to answer. Okay, then ethics or leadership and management, any field, it can be applied. Okay. For implementing team-based learning, actually in the beginning, it is time consuming and little bit effortful for the teacher. Okay, once the teachers are in the track, it is going to be easy. It is a very easy task. But only thing, the teacher has to be a content expert and teacher has to prepare the students also for this team-based learning. Okay, and this team-based learning can be implemented completely or one phase at a time, not phase 1 and phase 2 together. Maybe the activity towards the end, they can. Like in the case of nursing process, after assessment, each term, this one, they can have the team, team readiness assurance test, and she can stop. And in the next class, next phase she can do. And at the end of the nursing process unit, she can have the activity where she is going to combine all these, all the phases together. Like that is also possible. Or if you want it in after each unit, you can have it. Okay, that is not a problem. That the teacher has the freedom, and the time required for each session also teacher can decide. There are maybe some literature says 45 minutes or 50 minutes, things like that. No, we don't have to follow that. What is convenient, you're going to modify it into your class. It is your class and you're going to modify it for your learners. Okay, that is very important. That is also a innovation. So what are the steps? Before the class begins, the teacher is very busy during this time. Divide the course content into units, learning objectives she has to find out, or design a grading system. Okay, and in the class, before even giving straight away the team-based learning, she has to orient the students for team-based learning. Okay, explain why and how team-based learning is conducted. And about the groups, she has to describe the grading, and develop positive group norms. She can even formulate rules for the groups. Okay, that is very important. Otherwise, see, some of the students, they don't talk and they'll be coming and complaining, she is not participating. No, they have to manage. They are old enough to manage that. And after this phase 1, phase 2, and phase 3, near the end of the class, she has to review the learning objectives, and she has to identify effective team interaction, how the students learn about themselves. That is also very important because it may help. It is a learning process for the teacher as well. Okay, so we get to know the teams very well. And one thing I would like to remind you, when the teams are discussing, see, some of us, the teachers are very curious. We will be standing next to the team. We would like to know what they discuss. Okay, that is not advisable, because in the presence of teacher, they're going to be reluctant to have discussions. Okay, so she can be just standing afar from the teams. Let the teams manage, discuss, and at the end of the time, the teacher can take over. That is a very good strategy from the teacher. Now, there are certain advantages of this. So first, as faculty, what are the advantages? We are going to have it. Faculty-student interaction is high amount. Okay, because there are discussions. Everybody is going to participate eventually in the class discussion. Then we get a motivation to teach. See, always I wanted to enjoy along with my students, even my class. I wanted to teach, like enjoy my class. That is how we make it enjoyable for the students. So it is motivating. The response from our students motivate the teachers. Okay, and individual class preparation. So here, in the traditional class system, what we observe is the teacher is spending maybe 2 hours, 3 hours, for the PowerPoint presentation or the classes. We have to have a lot of preparations. But we can just reduce that time of preparation. But we have to be expert in the content. Okay, so the teacher has to be an expert, but you can reduce the class time preparation for the PowerPoint or whatever it is, or in the class. Whereas she can focus more on how to guide the teams. And student attendance, not an issue for the teacher. So here, each student or the team responsibility for regular attendance of their team members. Because if somebody is absent, they are going to be affected. The team marks or the individual marks are going to be affected. Okay, so it becomes the student's responsibility. Then low faculty student ratio. Suppose if there are, like in the current situation, maybe if the student ratio is 1:10, how many students we should have if there are 120 students or 200 students? In team-based learning, since it is in the team, only one teacher can manage all these teams, because students are more active than the teacher. Teacher is just a facilitator. So we need less number of faculty if you are using this team-based learning. And of course, no special facilities are required. In our regular classrooms, okay, we are going to have this team discussions and we can have this team-based learning. And what are the benefits it is going to have on the students? Students become more accountable because there is out of class preparations and they are going to be regular in the class. It is their attendance is their responsibility, and they have to participate in teamwork because peer evaluation is there, and the student engagement, individual or team, small group or large group engagement is more. Okay, so students become accountable and interpersonal skills will be there, communication, flexibility, collaboration, learning. Students become active and lifelong learners. They become more critical thinking. They apply the knowledge. Higher levels of cognitive skills will be there. And even with the team, we are going to assist the at-risk students. We have probation students. So when they are in the team and the able students can help them. And another advantage is it is going to improve the leadership skills, decision making skills. It is going to improve. Now some questions we have. I don't know if I have my time. Some questions we have to ask is, as an instructor, what do I as an instructor want student to do? So that is why you're going to focus on the learning objectives and the activities. What do the students have to learn? Prepare the content, outline and assignments and give it to them for pre-class learning. How do I, as the instructor, know the students mastered the concepts? Okay, so that is through the RAT, Readiness Assurance Test. How can I, as the instructor, tell if the student will be able to apply this knowledge? That is through the accomplishment of the activity, in-class activity. So when we look at all these elements and the whole process of team-based learning, I feel this is a very suitable learning strategy to achieve this outcome-based education or competency-based education. Okay, so we are going to merge this competency-based education into outcome-based education. So what is your take-home message from my side is, as teachers, you have to change your teaching role from a sage on the stage, okay, to a guide on the side. You have to reduce your role less. Make the students take prominent role in their own learning. And the students have a special responsibility to take more responsibilities. All of you are able and capable of managing, so you have to take more responsibility. And that, I conclude my session. I don't know how far it was. I enjoyed this session actually. And I would like to transfer I don't know, I cannot see my, okay, one sec.
Thank you, Dr. Jayshree, for such a valuable information. We will go ahead and take some time for questions and its discussion. I'll offer to Mrs. Soni Matthew, HOD, Nursing Education Department.
With, I have to change the host, no? To whom I have to change? Sister Anu?
Ma'am, you change.
I have to take.
Yes, ma'am. You can change.
Okay, I will make you the host now. Okay.
Thank you, ma'am. Okay.
Okay.
Now it's time for questions. Delegates, please put your questions in the chat box.
maybe.
I think Jayashree ma'am, they have understood everything, so no questions for you.
Okay. But I hope you will be able to implement this interesting technology. I mean, the strategy where we can include technology also in the individual tests, plus group tests, maybe little more old type, or the scratch card. It is better to use the scratch card. So you will know how much mark to be given to each team. Okay, and make sure that the teacher is keeping a file for each team so she can compile all these documents, and you should have evidence for whatever you're doing. Each teacher, it is a responsibility to maintain evidence for different type of strategy you're using in your class, so like a teaching portfolio or anything. And it is very essential when we are thinking about accreditation or quality assurance, from the point of view of quality assurance or NAAC accreditation. It is very important to have maintenance of documents. Okay, so when they ask for documents, don't run for it. You have to have a file of your own. And I'm especially telling the MSc students, they can have all these things has to be filed and kept. Okay, and let me thank again the team. The team has really done a wonderful job, and I would like to extend my gratitude towards the participants. I'm really thankful, even though we don't get to meet each other. Otherwise, it's a good chance for us to communicate. And I would like to thank the students, the team, organizing team, and especially Mrs. Soni Matthew. She is really the backbone. Before the students, praise her, let me convey my congratulations to her. Of course, not to miss Sister Theres. Actually, from the first day onwards, we were actually together, and she is really supportive of the students, and she will go to any extent to support the students. Okay, maybe motherly. Yesterday I have heard she is a ladder, and maybe day before yesterday, it's like mother. Yeah, she is like that, very affectionate. And if it is essential for the students, she will get it somehow. Only thing you need to ask. Okay, so congratulations to everyone, and I really thank the Zoom platform from Pharmacy College also. Thank you all once again.
Jayashree, we have a question for you from Manju S. How can we use problem-based learning and team-based learning together in the class? Should I repeat the question?
No, I got it. See, problem-based learning, actually they are solving. The problem-based learning and team-based learning, see, at the end of this team-based learning, they are going to solve the problem. Okay, so it is involved. Problem solving is also involved through the group activities. We are going to give a scenario, and where the higher order, according to the Bloom's taxonomy, the higher level of learning is utilized. Okay, so problem solving based on the scenario, the teamwork is there, and it is going to enhance individual problem solving skill also. So it is already problem solving is involved or inculcated in the team-based learning as form of group activity at the end. Okay, that is why the teacher has to develop group activity in such a way that it is facilitating group discussion, and it is helping with critical thinking, or it is utilizing the higher levels of student learning levels based on the Bloom's taxonomy. I hope it answers the question.
Thank you, Jayashree.
Yeah.
There's one more question, ma'am.
Yes.
is individual evaluation possible in team-based learning?
Team learning. See, individual evaluation. See, first, that's why we have the individual RAT. And after the individual RAT, the teacher is not going to give any immediate feedback. Okay, she is going to score it. She's going to correct it. That goes in the individual score. And in the team, the same question we are going to give it, and the students are going to answer. So based on the scratch card, if the student is, if the team is getting the correct answer in first attempt, suppose if the teacher is planning 4 marks according to the choice, there are 4 marks, 4 choices. Okay, the first attempt, if they are getting the correct answer, they will get 4 marks for that particular question. And if in the next question, if the team is getting in the second attempt, so the team is going to get 3 marks. So that is their mark for the team. Okay, on the Ashwar RAT. That is why it is same for all the students in that particular team. Suppose if team A is getting 10 out of 10, that is for everyone. But that is not, actually it is not reflecting individual. That is why we are going to use peer review also. There is score for peer review. Okay, you can use checklist for peer review based on those 4 concepts in the team. So what you have to do is you're going to multiply this team mark into individual. You're going to convert it based on the peer review score of each student. So it becomes individual scoring for the students. Am I clear? Hello?
Yes, Jayashree. Hello, yes, it is clear.
Yes,
Ah,
yes,
okay,
that question was from Sister Teres.
Yeah, she. I hope it is clear, sister.
Yes.
Okay.
Any other questions, delegates? So as teachers, we must help students understand what they should learn, why they should learn. So for that, we should use variety methods. So for the last 3 days, we saw the different methods the teachers can use, and all students can learn and succeed, but not on the same day and not in the same time. Any other questions? One more question,
Good evening,
please.
Dr.
One more question.
Jayashree. Yeah.
Okay.
One more question. A question from Dheeraj. Peer evaluation and individual evaluation, is it needed in team-based learning? Should I repeat it?
Yeah, no need.
Okay.
See, when you think about the student point of view, okay, I was a student, you were a student too. If there is no mark, okay, the students are not going to prepare themselves for the class. So it is ideal. See, that is one of the key elements when we think about team-based learning. The incentive is one of the key elements of team-based learning. So by this individual and the team mark review, I mean the test, we are making the students come prepare for the class. Otherwise, many times, see, even I hope he's a teacher, or the student, I don't know. But if the teacher is telling you read the session and come, how many of the students will read and come? But if there is a test in the beginning, the teacher has given the reading material and then the student have to take a test. Definitely the student is going to read and prepare themselves on the concepts. So, and on top of that, if we are going to use these marks in the internal, okay, then the students will be more serious. So maybe in the beginning, you have to have these a little bit strict. So the students also will be in the track of this team-based learning, and the teachers also, it is very easy. So it is a developmental stage for the teacher and the students. So I suggest it is important. So since it is a key element in team-based learning, it is good that it is important to have this individual test and the group test, because individual tests they can have wrong answers. Okay, and when they come into the team with the same question, we are not preparing, the teacher is not preparing different questions. Teacher has to just prepare just one quiz that is for the individual and the team test, plus another activity she has to prepare. Okay, so as a team, they are going to discuss, analyze all the choices, and they are going to come into consensus. So that is also, that discussion is also a learning process. That is why individual and the group test is important, plus the peer review is also important. Is it clarified your doubt? I hope
Dheeraj?
that's, yeah.
Dheeraj? Okay, yes. Yes, Dheeraj has told yes,
Thank you.
Jayashree.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions, please?
Maybe.
No questions. It's not questions. It's just a comment, madam.
Okay, sure, ma'am. Dr.
Dr.
Rohini
Jayashree.
was our speaker
Yes,
for the
ma'am.
first
Yeah.
day.
Yeah, it was a wonderful session and you made it very clear. So hearty congratulations, Dr. Jayashree.
Thank you very much, Dr. Rohini. Even though we have not met, sure, in
Yeah.
future, we would like to see each other.
Yeah, hopefully.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Rohini, ma'am. Any other questions? And as teachers, we also have to build us confidence in the students. Is it Jayashree?
Yeah, confidence. See, by this individual, see, the teacher is giving, preparing. It is not that from the first class onwards, the teacher is going to use team-based learning, but teacher is preparing the students. Okay, along with that, the teacher is preparing herself and preparing the students. That is why in the first beginning, the teacher has to give proper explanation about the team-based learning. What are the objectives? What are the reading material? How it is done? So proper orientation is given. So students are not going blindly into this team-based learning. So it can improve their confidence. Plus, they are working in a team. Okay, maybe the teacher is giving just 10 MCQs. The number of questions are also not too much, because we need, our focus is on the teamwork. Okay, so after the individual test, there is group work, and the group, as the group cohesion improves, they're going to enjoy it, and their confidence is going to improve, their accountability, their motivation, they wanted to come to the class. Okay, so that to that level it is going to develop. So they become, definitely they are going to be confident in with the knowledge, plus with the application of knowledge, because the activity is helping them, because problem solving is also there. Okay, so they are going to be confident. That is what I observe.
Thank you,
Yes,
Jayashree. I think within a few days, people will be using this team-based learning.
Oh, I'm so
Jayashree.
happy about that.
So we'll let you know.
Yeah, please. I would like to know about that. Thanks.
Okay. Okay, as there are no more questions,
Yeah,
over
please.
to Cecil. Thank you, Jayashree, once again.
Yeah, thank you, Miss Soni. Thank you for
Jayashree,
all the
thank you.
chats.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you. Thank you. Thank you, sister.
It looks like we have covered all our questions. Ma'am, is there anything else you wanted to cover before I wrap up?
No, 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 please, you can.
Great. Thank you, everyone. We appreciate you being here and joining us. In words of William Arthur, feeling gratitude and not expressing, it is like wrapping a present and not giving it. Now, I call upon Ms. Tirtha S., first year MSc Nursing student, to deliver vote of thanks.
A warm good evening to all. I deem it's a great honor and privilege to propose the vote of thanks on this memorable occasion. Let me first of all start by giving glory to the Almighty God for making our webinar a resounding success. On behalf of organizing committee and Pushpagiri College of Nursing, sincerely thank our management for the support and guidance. I extend my gratitude to our honorable speakers, Dr. Jayashree R., Senior Faculty, Oman College of Health Science, Sultanate of Oman, to take out time from her busy schedule to grace the event and enlightening us with your inspiring and knowledgeable words. Thank you, ma'am. At the outset, it's my pleasure to thank our speakers, Dr. Leta Venkateshan, Professor cum Principal, AIMS College of Nursing, New Delhi, who spoke about virtual reality and patients as educators, and also Dr. Rohini T., Professor Samaritan College of Nursing, Paranganad, who spoke about reflective learning and problem-based learning. These innovative teaching strategies taught by these speakers made this webinar a great success. Thank you, dear madams. We are grateful to our Reverend Father A.B. Vadakundala, Director Institutions, Pushpagiri Medical Society, for his words of encouragement. His able guidance has always encouraged us. I thank him kindness, his interest, and continuous support. I sincerely express my thanks to Dr. Santosh, who's Principal Pharmacy College, providing a Zoom platform for our webinar. I thank our beloved principal, Professor Sister Therese SIC, for her great support, vision, commitment, and you have been given us a lot of encouragement. And I thank our vice principal, Mrs. Renjini Devi, for her unstinted support for this function. My heartfelt thanks to our organizing secretaries, Mrs. Mattisoni, Associate Professor and HOD, Nursing Education Department, and Professor Vinita Jacob, PG Coordinator, for their contribution, guidance, and encouragement in all our efforts. I thank HODs and faculties of various departments of Pushperi College of Nursing for their support. We acknowledge the untiring effort of Mr. Marvin, IT department, for technical support. Thank you, sir. I would like to express my gratitude to all esteemed delegates of the webinar for their presence and contribution to make this webinar a great success. And special thanks to the principal, teachers who had taken special effort in registering the students to make this webinar a memorable one. Last but not the least, I thank all my batchmates, first year MSc Nursing students, from the bottom of my heart for your cooperation in making this function a great success. Thank you all.
Thank you, Ms. Tirtha. Please make sure that to fill the feedback form. Now, over to Mrs. Soni Matthew, HOD, Nursing Education Department, for kind information.
Sorry,
Jayashree, ma'am.
Can I
There's
read?
a
now?
student,
Okay, thank you.
VG Prasad. He has written hi from Enepoya. VG
Okay.
Prasad.
You know, I have grown old.
Oh, He's asking your email ID, your student.
You can actually give email ID, no problem.
Okay, so
Okay.
at the outset, I would like to thank
Yeah,
Leta ma'am, Rohini ma'am, and Jayashree for your informative class, all three of you. And we will be sending the e-certificate within 3 days, but only for participants who have registered. And we'll also be putting all these lectures on the YouTube link. And to get an e-certificate, you have to fill the 3 days feedback form. Delegates, all 3 days feedback form, if you fill in only, you will get the e-certificate. And if you have any problems in filling up, kindly contact 9497335616. We will be putting it up in the chat box. If any of you find difficulty in getting the e-certificate, kindly call on this number. Hope all the 3 days. Hello, delegates. If you had any issues, sorry for the inconvenience caused. Thank you.
Okay, thank you,
Hope-
Soni.
Thank you, Jayashree.
Because now
Any
when I-
problems in filling the feedback form?